For more on this, joining us now is former federal prosecutor Mitchell Epner. Mitchell, good afternoon, and I just want you to help me break all of this down. There's a lot happening here. FBI Director Kash Patel touted these arrests as a major takedown. I want to play a bit of his announcement and get your reaction on the other side.
This is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing. Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Cosa Nostra to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families.
Seriously, Mitchell, when you hear about the Gambino crime family in NBA, you think you're talking about something out of a movie. As a former federal prosecutor, how bulletproof does this case need to be in order to move forward with this case involving the mafia and A-level celebrities?
So, Nick, great to be with you. And there were different defendants who have very different types of defenses. And the person who I want to speak about first is Chauncey Billups, because he is only accused in the poker case. And what he's accused of doing is being a lure to bring people into a high-stakes poker game that was rigged. The problem for the prosecution will be proving that Chauncey Billups knew that the game was rigged, because it is not illegal for somebody who is famous like Chauncey Billups to serve as a high-profile inducement for people to join a poker game unless that poker game is either A, rigged, or B, is taking money off of the table with each hand, which is called the rake, which you can't do unless you are a gambling house. So I think that that case is going to be extremely difficult to prove. There are a lot of other particular defendants, and happy to talk about any particular ones that you want.
Well, Mitchell, let me ask you this. Former NBA champion and head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, Chauncey Billups, has also been included in this. What happens here now? Because we see that he was able to post this bond. $5 million bonds is a big deal there. Billups has now become one of the major faces of this case.
So, Nick, the $5 million number is misleading because he didn't have to put up $5 million. He didn't have to put up 10% of it. In federal court with these types of bonds, what you have to do is sign a piece of paper that says, if I don't show up for court, I owe you $5 million. So that number is really misleading. Chauncey Billups is represented by Mark Mukasey, who is one of the top defense lawyers in New York. I've known Mr. Mukasey for over 30 years. I'm quite confident that he is going to run a quite capable defense.
Prosecutors allege that to attract victims, well-known former professional athletes like Billups, like you just mentioned, and Damons would help draw big money and then would receive a portion of the criminal proceeds in exchange for their participation. So they would be the ones to actually bring these whales into the gambling scheme, correct?
Yes, but Nick, that's not necessarily illegal. It's not illegal for them to get compensated for bringing people into a game unless the game is either rigged or taking a rake. If it's doing one of those two things, the defense becomes much more difficult. But showing that somebody knew that the game was rigged, or showing that they knew that the house was taking a rake, is much more difficult. The fact that he got paid is only the beginning of the government's proof, not the end.
Oh, so then, Mitchell, just because the government is saying, hey, he was there, he was part of this, does not necessarily implicate his full culpability into everything. What you're saying is you need to prove that he knew about every layer of this scheme.
Well, he needed to know. And you're right. He needed to know that they were cheating. He didn't need to know they used an X-ray machine, they used more cards. If he knew that they were cheating, he doesn't have to know precisely how they were cheating. But proving that he knew that they were cheating is going to be difficult.
Oh, then Mitchell, let me ask you this. In a situation like this where you have these high-profile men who definitely want to clear their name, as a prosecutor, do you try to flip them first, hoping that they will provide more information and you kind of work your way up the chain that way?
So you are correct that it is prosecution 101 that you start at the bottom and work your way up the chain. But with somebody like Chauncey Billups, it doesn't really map onto that very well because his alleged involvement would put him at the bottom, but his profile is near the top. And the idea of arresting Chauncey Billups to get him to roll over on a bunch of street level and mid-level La Casa Nostra associates or family members is kind of crazy. But we're in a Department of Justice in the second Trump administration that's doing crazy things. So I can't tell you that that's not what they're trying to do.
Mitchell, I've got less than 30 seconds, but I do want to ask you this. The illegal sports gambling rigging case seems to be intertwined with these rigged poker games, with 3 defendants being charged in both cases. When separate cases have crossover defendants, how does that impact how federal prosecutors move forward? Can one case's outcome impact the other?
Absolutely. And somebody like Damon Jones, who has been indicted in both cases, is going to want to find if he pleads, is going to want to find a global solution. It does not help him to plead in one case only to continue to trial in the other.
So, Mitchell, we're only at the beginning.
Absolutely. Much more to come.
Mitchell Epner, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.